Welcome to my top 10 games of 2019. Great start. 2019 for me in gaming was a weird one because if any of you follow me on Twitter, you were probably aware that for the vast majority of 2019, I was unemployed. Yay, joblessness. Because of that, I didn't really have much disposable income, so I didn't play many games. Most of it was working through backlog I already owned, borrowing from friends. I would have made this video sooner. Just didn't really get around to it. Back to the whole unemployed thing, you'd think that would leave me with a ton of time, which is true, it should. But my computer doesn't exist anymore. I'm actually on my girlfriend's computer. Thank her for that. And I moved halfway across the country. I was on the East Coast. Now I'm in Toronto. But I'm employed, so that's good. But that's basically why I haven't made this video sooner. Even though I think if we look back, I have historically been late with my top 10 stuff literally every year. So at this point, if it's on time, it's more out of character. Maybe next year I'll get it on time. I probably won't. Don't hold me to it. It'll get done when it gets done. Number 10 is Crash Team Racing Nitro, was it? Tells you how much I remember. It's actually one of the more recent. It's actually the most recent game. It's actually the last game of 2019 I played, and I don't actually remember its specific title. Wait, did I say Crash Team Racing? Isn't it just Crash Racing? So it's Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled. The part that I keep getting thrown off by is because I keep thinking it's not called Crash Team Racing because there's no teams. It's kind of a free-for-all, so the team part doesn't make sense. But that's the name of the game I played. So I never played any of the Crash racing games growing up. Just, I don't know, never cared. Wasn't really much into the kart racing growing up. I wasn't sure I was going to like this game. I just happened to have access to it over my holiday break. Ended up getting really into it. It's just a solid racing game. Well, solid kart racer. If you're looking for realistic racing, don't play Crash Team Racing. You won't get what you're looking for. I mean, I would say it's a solid competitor to Mario Kart. Most people would probably disagree with me. I had thought about not putting this on my list at all. Obviously decided to just put it at the bottom. Because if you have played this game or if you've seen anything online, it's got some pretty aggressive microtransactions. There's no pay to win or anything like that. It's all cosmetic. But the fun of a kart racer is like, oh, I beat this guy, so I'll unlock him as a racer. Or I want to get this car. Or, like Mario Kart. But this, it's like, you have to pay for everything. And yes, you can get... Yes, you use in-game currency to buy things. You earn that currency in-game from just playing the game, but you don't earn that much. And even if you did have the currency waiting, had enough to buy a character, the store works on like this rotating system where it's like, here's one character and one car every day. So you might wait weeks before what you want to buy is available to purchase, even though you have the money and it is a purchasable item. It's just a baffling way to do a storefront to me. And for that reason, I could not rank this game any higher. If you want to ignore all that, you pick your one character, get in a crappy go-kart, and drive. Good video game. Microtransactions, bad video game. Number 9, one of the most underappreciated first-person shooters of maybe ever. Titanfall 2. So I got this game not when it came out. I'm one of those people who also didn't play it, which is kind of why it's underappreciated, because no one played it. I waited until it was recently free on PlayStation Plus, which, boy, am I glad I played it then. It's great. It's fantastic. Easily one of my favorite shooters I've ever played. It's got some fantastic movement mechanics. It's one of those games that when you play, you just feel cool. And it's not hard to feel cool either. It's like, you know, you're running, you're jumping, you're shooting guys while you're running across walls, and then you're jumping and punching guys. It's just... had I not already knew everything about the game before I played it, I'd probably rate this higher, actually. Unfortunately, when the game released, I had no plans on ever touching the game, so I watched a Let's Play, spoiled the whole game for myself, which, yeah, had I had some foresight, years later when I got around to playing it, it did kind of muddle the experience a little bit. But it was still really good. Yeah, it's a very good game. If you have seen a Let's Play, who cares? Play it anyway. It's very good. If you haven't, definitely play it. And don't feel like you need to play Titanfall 1. I didn't. And I don't think the game really cares if you do or not either. The plot felt pretty standalone to me. Number 8 is a charming little crafting, farming game called Yonder, the Cloud Catcher Chronicles. It's a game I came across. Cute art style. It's like, I don't know, I bought it brand new for like $10 or something. Didn't think I'd enjoy it, but I ended up sitting and spending a lot of time with it. It's not quite as farm heavy as your Stardew Valleys or your Harvest Moons or, you know, any of the big ones. It's way more on the exploration crafting side of things, so I would say it's closer to Minecraft. That's probably true to say, but there are there's quests and side quests. It's just an adorable art style too. The music's very, very calming. Let me tell you, come home after a stressful day of work, pop that game on. There's no way you can be in a huff. It really just zens you out, and it made me kind of understand why so many people like these types of games. They're just chill. You're just chill, man. And I'll probably check out more in this genre because of this game. So if you like that type of game, check out Yonder. It's a good one. Number 7 is, I swear to God, this is not a meme, is Knack 2.
Someone say Knack! Oh, bam, baby, it's Knack, baby, yeah!
Anyone who knows me knows I unironically enjoy Knack. I bought it on release. I bought it day one. At least the store I bought it at, I was the only person who was picking it up that day. I thought the first game was kind of a charming 3D action platformer. It's not great. It's a little rough around the edges. Had a lot of room to improve. And what I'm here to tell you is Knack 2 improves literally everything about the first one. It's still not perfect. It's still not going to go... If it goes up against your Marios or I guess like Jak and Daxter, or like that series, probably be a better comparison, a little more on the action side. It's gonna fall to those, but those games are all masterpieces. Knack 2 is no masterpiece, but it is a very good video game. Obviously it improves the graphics. Knack 2 came out years later. the game is co-op now. Any game with couch co-op is immediately good. And what better way to show a family or significant other that you love them than making them play Knack 2, like I did when my girlfriend helped me with getting the Platinum Trophy. The combat has been improved by just leaps and bounds. Originally, you just had like your punch and a kick, and maybe you had a stomp too. It's been a while since I played Knack 1. But now we've got punches and kicks and dive kicks and whip kicks, and we got like some... Oh, it's great. A ton of really cool combat maneuvers in a game that you're not expecting this amount of depth in the combat. I don't know if I can say depth. Variety, maybe. Variety might be a better word. The plot is probably the weakest part, and the characters continue to be not great. Knack just isn't an endearing looking character. Tiny Knack, kind of cute. I think we can all agree. Once he gets like 3 feet, or we'll say like 4 feet and bigger, he just becomes a hideous monster and is just unenjoyable to look at. And it's really hard to have a mascot platformer when you're a giant Goliath with a deep voice. That's not the type of genre you do that with. If you were ever curious about checking out Knack, just jump straight to Knack 2 and play Knack 2. Who cares about the first game? If you happen to like the first game, happy to report you'll like this one too. It's even better. Number 6, Supermassive's soft follow-up, I guess, to Until Dawn, Man of Medan, or the Dark Pictures anthology. It's the first game in that series. So basically what they're doing is they're doing Until Dawn, but they're going to make, I think, 5 of them. So because of that, they'll be shorter, but each one will be more unique than the last. Man of Medan is definitely shorter than Until Dawn, and not quite as good, I'm ashamed to say. But that doesn't mean it's not good. So Man of Medan is these people stuck on a ghost ship, as opposed to being cabin in the woods situation. I mean, it's Until Dawn. It's Until Dawn again. Different characters, different choices. It's definitely a game you can finish in one sitting. It's a long sitting. This will continue, much like Until Dawn, to be like one of my party games of choice. People like spooks and they're unfamiliar with the game. It's great because there are so many options that every time you play it with a different group of people, it's always going to be a little different for you, and that's... I mean, who doesn't like that? That's a ton of fun. Yeah, solid spook game, solid party game. There's not a whole lot of, like, horror party games out there, so that makes this one kind of unique. And I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Number 5 is everyone's favorite animal game of last year, which is Untitled Goose Game. A game that I have been following since it was first made public. Back when it was called Untitled Goose Game, unironically, because they were so early in development and they legitimately just did not have a title. I have been sent this game from anyone who had found it over the years. They're like, I think you'd get a kick out of this. And they're right, every time. Geese are funny. Especially when they're jerks. As long as they're not being jerks to you. Also, goose is just a fun word to say. Yeah, Untitled Goose Game is just... It smiles the video game. It's one of those games that it does not overstay its welcome. The game is just long enough. It's like 3 hours-ish. Unless you happen to figure out what you're supposed to be doing every time immediately. You could probably shave it down. But I think I got about 3 hours out of it. And it's just 3 hours of you going, I'm a goose. And never getting tired of that. stealing people's things and then honking at them and then going into a bush and then to yourself out loud, alone in your room going, I'm a goose, just didn't get old. I mean, just saying that brings me back to the feelings of haha, I'm a goose. And I just feel warm inside. And it's what I assume all geese feel like when they're jerks to other people. And that's wonderful. It's just such a heartwarming experience for something so jerky. Easily the best animal video game of all time. But as far as straight animals go, I'm looking at you, Jaws for the PS2, and Echo the Dolphin. I can't think of any more animal games. But Untitled Goose Games got them both beat. It's better than both of them. But if you are fine with paying for a shorter experience, but while it might be short, it is packed with quality, get yourself a Goose Game. Speaking of anthropomorphic animals, number 4 is Owlboy. Metroidvania. That genre I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anymore, because I know there's been some debates recently on whether or not we should stop calling it that. You can tell what side of the argument I fall on, because I don't know what we're supposed to call them now instead. So I guess you would call Owlboy an action-adventure game, but that term is a little broad, so I'm gonna keep saying Metroidvania, because most people know what that means. So instead of getting traditional power-ups or new gear or abilities, you get allies. And because in Owlboy, surprise, you play as like a boy who is like an owl person. His name is Otis, and he's a good boy. And instead of getting power-ups, what you do is you just pick up other people, and what they can do kind of become the game's proxy for power-ups. The story is pretty touching. It was to me anyway. The sky world is fun to explore. The pixel art is great. I'm a real sucker for pixel art. And I will say, when it comes to this genre of game, I don't tend to like them very often. But the ones I do end up playing are usually pretty good. And now I don't know if that means I secretly actually do like this genre, so I should play it more, or if I just have an eye to only play the good ones. It helps that I was aware that this game was getting good reviews before I touched it, so that might kind of help that along a little bit. Number 3 on this game list is Beat Saber. I love rhythm games, which may come to a surprise because I'm white and have no rhythm. I'm a bit of a rhythm game dork. I was a Guitar Hero kid back when that was popular. I was that kid that if you went to the movie theaters and there was like the DDR setup, I'd be that kid trying to play to get an audience. I've competed in Guitar Hero tournaments. I've competed in DDR tournaments. I just like rhythm games, and they unfortunately don't really exist anymore. They're pretty slim. There's a lot on mobile, but I don't know, that doesn't cut it for me. So Beat Saber combines the two things I love, which is, at its core, a fantastic rhythm game, but it's also VR, which I'm always looking for another reason to put that headset on my face. I should say I'm specifically talking about the PS4 version of Beat Saber, which does have some drawbacks compared to the PC one. PC one, throw in your own music, mod it, whatever, do whatever you want. Sort of the benefit of PC games. I'm really itchy right now, if you couldn't tell. So I'm just playing the base PS4 version, but the devs have been very good with putting out
music packs pretty frequently, so I feel like every time I turn it on, there's new songs to play. Some of them you have to pay for, which is fine. It's more content. Some of them have been free, which is even better, because who doesn't like free content? This is a game where, if you want to do well, it can be quite the workout. I mean, you play this game for 30 minutes, an hour, you got a sweat going. Like, I won't play this game unless I plan on having a shower afterwards. Yeah, if you don't really care about your points, you can just sort of do the old Wii way of playing, where you're just kind of flicking your wrists, and that'll get you by. But if you want points, you got hold the whole arm swing, get the whole body grooving. So if you are a fan of music, like most people are, and you like rhythm games, Beat Saber's the best rhythm game on the market right now. Yes, unfortunately, it's, as far as I know, a VR exclusive, which will definitely hold some people back. But, I mean, I'm a crazy person that's going to tell you that buy VR just so you can play Beat Saber. Everything else is just an added bonus to fill in the time between while you play more Beat Saber. Number 2 is probably one of the most popular releases of 2019. It's the only big game I went out and bought, and that's Kingdom Hearts 3. Why isn't it my favorite game? Well, because it's not perfect. In fact, it's far from. If you like Kingdom Hearts, it's a good Kingdom Hearts game. The combat is better than ever. Graphics are better than ever. It's got a ton of stuff that you've wanted to see for years. But the plot is dumb. I won't spoil anything. I'll just say it's dumb. And it's just kind of a disappointing thing. If you have followed the ongoings in the Kingdom Hearts universe, you know that the mobile game is getting more and more important. It just kind of sucks. That's the way things are. And yeah, for this being the big 3, the conclusion of the Dark Seeker saga, I think that's what it was called. It doesn't really feel like a conclusion. It sort of ends with, oh, I have many more questions. And that's just not how I wanted to feel. It didn't have to be the end of Kingdom Hearts, but I wanted a little more finality to it. But, story aside, this game is a ton of fun to play. I don't often replay games, and I basically played this game. I replayed it immediately after I beat it, because I just like Kingdom Hearts. It's got a good battle system. I guess the only thing it is missing gameplay-wise is it doesn't have a Coliseum, like basically every other one did. And that is kind of missing. I think if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, you don't need anyone to tell you to play Kingdom Hearts 3. And if you're new to the franchise, honestly, I would play Kingdom Hearts 3, but first I would go play the other ones. Because this game's confusing even if you know what's going on. And frankly, Square just keeps shoving out more and more bundles of all of the games, the story so far. So you can easily pick up all the games. Finally, what is my game of the year? Colin, I don't know. I've tuned in. I've watched all this time to find that out. Kind of coming out of nowhere. My favorite game of the year, to me, kind of easily, is Astrobot Rescue Mission. A PSVR exclusive, third-person platformer. That Astrobot, he's a little robot after my own heart. He's adorable. So I don't have a ton of experience with this genre. I sort of fell off with the genre when most of the industry did. So I haven't really played much. And the ones I have played in the last probably decade have all been from like smaller studios, so they obviously don't have the polish that a big game would have. And I just haven't played a Mario game in ages, and that's kind of the quality standard to hit is like, or I shouldn't say the standard to hit. It's like Mario's the king of that genre. So you're judged based off of comparing yourself to Mario. I don't know enough to say if Astrobot is better than Mario, but it definitely entertained me more. So third-person games in VR are weird. They do take a little getting used to, where you are the camera and you're controlling the guy in front of you. So you got your little controller. You do play like a television god. I don't really know what you are in game, but if you look at your reflection, you're like a big screen, and it's you. I don't remember if it shows your face or not, and you've got your hands, your little DualShock 4s in your hands, and you help little robots out. And it's just real neat. You know, it's the entire game, seeing like some cool VR gimmicks was some of the happiest moments I've had with gaming all of last year. It could be simple things like, oh, my guy is over there. I'll use this hand so you keep it in frame. But you can't see him because there's like, he went around a corner of a building. So it's like, just lean over and like look around the building yourself. It treats the character's obstacles as 3D objects that you have to like physically maneuver around so your character doesn't walk off and fall into a pit. And that's super cool. Yeah, you just get super immersed. Like just even up to small moments of very early in the game, there's like a big construction thing and you can't get through. And you just like headbutt it. And you break it and you feel cool. There's way cooler examples of that, but I'm not going to spoil them because I hope you pick up the game and play it and get surprised by certain things in the game like I did. To me, it's some kind of marvel that you can get so absorbed into a VR game that isn't first person, because it feels like VR is kind of made for first person video games, and somehow this got me more immersed than anything I've touched in a third person perspective. I definitely hope we get more of that game. It was adorable and amazing, and if it only goes up from here, like, God, that series is going to get real good. I'm telling you now, as much as I was just ranting about Beat Saber, and I do love Beat Saber, I do actually mean this. Astrobot Rescue Mission is worth the price of admission for VR, especially now as the price keeps getting lower and lower. And next gen, I'm going to take a stab and say it's going to be a more and more common thing. So, like, get in now. Get in the ground level. I would almost love to stream the game. Might be difficult with it being in VR, but I don't know. Just anything I can do to get more eyes on that game, because it is something. But that's it. That's the whole lineup, top to bottom, of the good games I played this year. I didn't actually play that many more. Normally I play like, I don't know, 30 games, maybe, something like that, 30, 40 games in a year, which I don't know if that's a lot or not. But this year I played like, I don't know, 15 maybe, so I really could have just said, here's everything I played this year, and made a list off that and just ranking them. But the few that didn't make the cut were not worth mentioning, because off the top of my head, I don't even remember what I played that wasn't these 10. That being said, what I did choose to play this year, and especially the 10 I decided to talk about, they're all quality, they're all good. Big recommend, as always, and I hope you check them out. That's it for the list, and we'll do this again next year. Maybe it'll be on time. Probably won't be.